Here's your news for April 14th, 2020. We're starting off today with some good news for WWE, as Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings has deemed that Vince's company is an essential business. Speaking in a press conference on Monday, Mayor Demings said, "Originally, they were not deemed an essential business. With some conversation with the governor's office regarding the governor's order, they were deemed as an essential business." Demings, who acknowledged the recent positive test in WWE, described the company as like a small family, and the company will join essential business from Florida, including healthcare, finances, food, communications, and transportation, as allowed to remain open. According to Mark Raimondi of ESPN, an April 9th memo at the governor's office added, quote, "Employees at a professional sports and media production with a national audience as an essential service, but only if the location is closed to the general public." This news comes after Vince McMahon made the decision to resume live tapings last Friday after it was originally planned for content to be filmed in advance. Defending this decision, WWE said, "We believe it is now more important than ever to provide people with a diversion from these hard times. We are producing content on a closed set with only essential personnel in attendance, following appropriate guidelines while taking additional precautions to ensure the health and wellness of our performers and staff." As a brand that has been woven into the fabric of society, WWE and its superstars bring families together and deliver a sense of hope, determination, and perseverance. Whether fans agree with the decision or not, it's clear that WWE will still be able to film content from their performance center in Orange County and provide a much-needed distraction during these difficult times. Now, with the ongoing situation, everyone is being told to stay indoors and keep clean, and this weekend saw WWE give a public service announcement of their own. In a video featuring Drew McIntyre, Charlotte Flair, and Kofi Kingston, fans were advised the best ways to avoid being infected, but this video has been blasted as hypocritical by fans. Online, several fans pointed out that WWE was advising people to stay indoors while also forcing talent to travel each week for live shows ever since Vince McMahon shut down tapings and declared they were going live. Many fans called on WWE to cancel their weekly programming, while others suggested superstars walk out, and though it doesn't seem like either option will be happening, time will tell whether fans still watch the live product in the coming weeks and months. We are going back in time to October last year now, as when WWE 2K20 was released, it was full of mistakes that even multiple patches couldn't clear up. Now 2K may not get a chance to learn from their mistakes, as Justin Leeper, a former writer of the SmackDown vs. Raw Road to WrestleMania mode, has reported that there won't be any game this year, saying, "I've heard from reliable sources, and I truly believe that WWE 2K21 has been cancelled. There will be no game this year." In the past, Leeper provided a ton of insider information on why 2K20 was such a mess, and though WrestleMania season usually brings some kind of game announcement or commercial, that didn't happen this year. Leeper went on to say that having no 2K21 is a good thing, and it's true that taking a year off might give the developers more time to make something better, which could even be the live service with updates instead of a new game that Leeper once pitched. As of this video, 2K Games hasn't commented on or confirmed the rumored cancellation, but given Leeper's history in WWE games and his sources inside the company, he's certainly been accurate with these kind of stories in the past. We've got even more bad news for Vince McMahon, as 1 week after the XFL informed league employees it was canceling its first season, the alternative brand of football has filed for bankruptcy. Sources told TMZ that in addition to employees being paid up until April 12th, the recent shutdown cost Vince McMahon's company Alpha Entertainment tens of millions in revenue, and gave the following statement to TMZ. "We have filed a voluntary petition for relief under Chapter 11 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. This is a heartbreaking time for many, including our passionate fans, players, and staff, and we are thankful to them, our television partners, and the many Americans who rallied to the XFL for the love of football. The XFL quickly captured the hearts and imaginations of millions of people who love football. Unfortunately, as a new enterprise, we were not insulated from the harsh economic impacts and uncertainties caused by the ongoing global situation. Accordingly, we have filed a voluntary petition for relief under Chapter 11 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. After Fightful tracked down the documents filed with the Delaware Bankruptcy Court, it was proven that, Despite Vince McMahon's claims of the WWE and the XFL being two separate entities, the wrestling promotion did own 23.5% of the Class B interests in Alpha Entertainment. Austin Karp of Sports Business Daily says that the league is for sale as part of the bankruptcy process, and The Hollywood Reporter is also reporting that the league is seeking a buyer for its assets in order to pay creditors. Those creditors include head coaches such as Bob Stoops, who is owed over $1 million, Mark Trestman, who is owed over $750,000, as well as Jonathan Hayes and Winston Moss, who are both owed over $500,000. But given the ongoing situation, we doubt anyone will be lining up to buy the league, which lasted even less time than its previous incarnation. Back in the ring now, and on this week's edition of Raw, MVP appeared in the VIP lounge to announce 3 matches for next week's show. Not only will these 3 matches be the first ever matches between these stars, but they will also be Money in the Bank qualifiers, as Rey Mysterio will face Murphy, Austin Theory will take on Aleister Black, and Apollo Crews will face MVP, who described himself as a ladder match legend. This week's edition of Raw saw 3 superstars qualify for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, as Asuka defeated Ruby Riott, Shayna Baszler topped Sarah Logan, and Nia Jax defeated Kairi Sane to qualify. In addition to this week's SmackDown will see Daniel Bryan face Cesaro for a spot in the men's match, and Dana Brooke vs. Naomi for a spot in the women's, as the company builds to Money in the Bank on May 10th at the Performance Center. This announcement from MVP wasn't the only blockbuster moment from Raw, as the company made reference to the recent comments by Ronda Rousey on Steve-O's podcast. The former Raw Women's Champion made headlines when she said that she wasn't ready to return for ungrateful fans. And before Shayna Baszler faced Sarah Logan on Raw, Sarah Schreiber asked the Queen of Spades about Rousey's comments. Though Baszler didn't say anything, her mere presence and stare made Schreiber feel intimidated, and it's very interesting that WWE would reference Rousey's comments after she described pro wrestling as fake fighting. After her harsh words about wrestling and the fans, Rousey was backed up on social media by the former NXT Women's Champion, though this wasn't all that Baszler had to say online. After defeating Logan, Shayna tweeted, "You think you know what real is? #reality, #kayfabe," though quickly deleted her post. Whether these comments by both women are a shoot or a work is unclear, but WWE is at least going along with it, as they recently uploaded the Raw Women's title match from Money in the Bank 2018 that saw Rousey face then-champion Nia Jax on their YouTube channel. Though WWE often puts out matches for free ahead of pay-per-views, this is still very interesting, as Nia Jax said that she plans on knocking Rousey out if they ever get in the ring together again. Like we said, this could all be a work, it could be a shoot, but all we know is that fans who don't have the network got a free match out of it. Nia Jax and the superstars of today weren't the only ones to comment on Rousey's comments this week, as Hulk Hogan also weighed in on the situation. After Rousey sent out another antagonizing post on social media where she borrowed a line from the Hulkster about people working themselves into a shoot, Hogan replied, saying, "Wow, that's how I need to wake up every morning instead of coffee. Marks always work themselves into a shoot, especially when they are in the ring. Truer words have never been spoken. Yo Travis, love you guys, HH." It seems like Hogan gets whatever it is Rousey is going for, though in the video, the baddest woman on the planet can be seen beating up a doll of the Hulkster. This isn't the first time Rousey has had heat, as during her last run in WWE, the then Raw Women's Champion got really into her character, including posting a scathing video about WWE, which got mainstream coverage. It's been reported that Rousey is expected back in WWE for 2021 in time for WrestleMania 37, and it seems the Hot Rod is having plenty of fun antagonizing people along the way. Now, we've already mentioned that Cesaro has a big night ahead of him this Friday when he faces Daniel Bryan, and this Money in the Bank qualifier is the latest chapter in a lengthy career in WWE. Working in FCW and NXT before the main roster, Cesaro has done a lot in the company, and that includes saving Tyler Breeze's job. Appearing on the New Day's Feel the Power podcast, the Swiss Superman spoke to the trio about Prince Pretty, and Big E gave a story, as he said, "To this day, he's just really good. I feel like he's underrated. This was the Dalton days, where I just think he didn't have anyone who was in his corner. No one really liked him or thought much of him. But I believe, if I recall correctly, he was very close to being fired. People were so impressed with the way he took that bump that you, Cesaro, saved his job. legitimately saved his job with that bump, and he's still here today. When he says the Dalton days, Big E is referring to Mike Dalton, Breeze's name before he became Prince Pretty, and Cesaro at first didn't realize what he did for Breeze during the match, as it was Prince Pretty who chose to sell one of the Swiss Cyborg's uppercuts like a champ. Though he had an underwhelming time on the main roster, Breeze seems to be doing a bit better back in NXT, and at least he still has a paycheck coming in from the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, thanks to Cesaro. We're heading back to WrestleMania now, as though the WWE tried to have 0 fans in attendance for the show due to the ongoing situation, one fan did make it in, and now that fan has merchandise. After members of the WWE Universe spotted a ceiling fan during the 2-day event, many joked that this was WrestleMania's biggest fan, as it was literally the only fan allowed in the venue for the Showcase of the Immortals. While the joke may be corny, that hasn't stopped WWE from profiting off it, as fans, the humankind that is, can now buy shirts with WrestleMania's biggest fan on it. This isn't the only shirt to poke fun at this year's WrestleMania, as members of the WWE Universe can also buy I Wasn't There t-shirts, and it's good to see the company being able to have some fun in the current situation despite these unpredictable times. Speaking of AEW, the upstart promotion is doing relatively well during this ongoing situation, and this week received some major props from a certain People's Champ. During a recent Instagram live session, The Rock was asked about whether he watches AEW, and told his viewers, "Do I watch AEW? Yeah, I watch AEW, of course I do. I'm very happy for the success of that company, because that's always a good thing and it creates a hunger, which is good." Speaking on WWE and wrestling in general, he added, "I have a lot of love and respect for all the men and women who continue to put their bodies on the line, and by the way, it's crazy that they're continuing to put their bodies on the line through this global situation. They're just working hard and just wrestling and sweating on each other and just doing all this, but all in the name of entertaining the fans, which I think is always cool, because wrestling has always had this adaptability to it. That was always very cool. So I do. Thanks for asking me about that." Though the Great One probably won't be on Dynamite anytime soon, it's still good to know that he's watching, as even though he's kept plenty busy with his movie schedule, it's nice to know that The Rock hasn't left the wrestling world behind. And finally today we're ending with news from Raw, as NXT superstar Austin Theory has seemingly moved to the Red brand full-time. On last night's show, Theory took on Akira Tozawa with the stable of himself, Andrade, Angel Garza, and Zelina Vega receiving a lot of focus, appearing several times in the show, including the main event between Andrade and Drew McIntyre. Given that Theory will be in a Money in the Bank qualifier next week, WWE doesn't usually give NXT stars a shot at that historic ladder match, and Theory was also given a Raw Tag title match at WrestleMania, something that is reserved for stars of the Red brand. Though his WWE.com profile still has him in NXT, fans can expect that to change, as given the ongoing situation, WWE can hardly be blamed for being a bit slow with this change. It's interesting that Theory was called up before WrestleMania, as the NXT call-ups usually come after the show, but it's clear that he is here to stay on Raw.